Adelaide Oval. Thursday night football underway. Look out! Going down! X-Factor everywhere! Pick up credit from Rosie. Check side. Bangs it through. Clean as a whistle. Josiah Pickett. He pins it goal. It's long. It's strong. It's through the middle. And then Ollie Wines jams it through. Petrarca. Pick up was superb. On the right. I think he's kicked a goal. What a star this young man is. It's on target. Has a shot the left side. That is a ripper. The superstar. What a game of footy.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide hosting the Demons tonight. It's a glorious night for football. Port Adelaide, they play their 100th game at the Adelaide Oval. The first they played here was against the Demons. It was a win. They need to win again. They're 0-3 coming into tonight. And for the Demons, it's a very, very different story. They're 3-0. They're winning the ball out of the middle. And one of the reasons is the combination of Max Gawn and Luke Jackson. I spoke to Max Gawn not so long ago, and he was shoeless.
I know, well, the turf's that good. I don't need shoes on this turf. I love playing here. One of our favourite grounds to play at. We had the qualifying final here against Brisbane in a neutral crowd, so we had some really nice memories there. And I love playing Port. They bring a mad contest. Their entertainment before the game gets me pretty jacked up. So it's an exciting day.
The tape?
I've got really bad toenails. They're actually hideous. So teammates prefer if I tape them up.
Okay, in terms of the difference in years, last year the Hunters, this year the Hunted, what does that mean? What changes?
Dealing with expectations is something that I've never had to deal with in my 13 years. Last year, everyone sort of, we were cool, we were new, we were the novelty, everyone wanted us to win. Now it's almost, when are they going to fail?
Yep.
So dealing with that expectation is something new. And we've got a side that, yes, they're 0-3, but they've won the most games in the last 2 years. Like, you don't fluke that. So we're on their home turf and they want a response. So it happens every week. If we do win this week, then the next week it's going to be the same challenge.
Luke Jackson, I'm trying to work out what he becomes in the end. He's 20, he's playing game 34. Can he play anywhere?
I'm pushing for wing because in the end, if he rucks, my spot might only be there for another year. So he's an unbelievable teammate. I love playing with him. I've got a lot of trust in him, so I can put him into the ruck whenever I want. Goody sometimes makes that call before I do because he's going really well. We've got some really good, unique young players. Like Jake Bowie's 10 games from 10 wins, including the premiership, and playing his role in their two-time NAB Rising Star. Trent Rivers has come back from a knee. We've got some good little young players in there.
I like Owie.
Yeah, and I love planes. I've got a tattoo of a plane on my shin, and there's planes come right over this ground. It was just a Virgin Boeing 767, which is good.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Port, they're looking for their first win. If Trav Boat gets involved, they're a big chance.
Port Adelaide are through to a prelim final.
We've had some really, really good years the last 2 years, and our game is in a good position. It's continued to develop over the last 2 years, and it's put us in a position to challenge the top sides. Yeah, we haven't been able to get there. We haven't quite got to the top of the mountain, and we continue to learn. We're vulnerable enough to open up and explore those areas of improvement to help us get better.
But it's been quite the unwanted turnaround in 2022 for the team that finished the past two home and away seasons in first and second. But Sean Burgoyne, veteran coach Ken Hinkley, he's seen it all before. He's ridden the ups and downs throughout his 35-year career, and he knows, and he said it after the game last week, it's all about your next performance. There's no point worrying about what may or may not happen in a month's time. He will have spent his whole week and all the energy and focus on this game tonight.
Exactly right. The pressure is building on them. 0-3. There's no way else to say it. 0-3. It's not the ideal start, but this is their biggest game of the season so far because the reigning premiers at home. They would have penciled this one in the start of the year, but I don't think they would have thought they'd be 0-3.
So how do they beat Melbourne? For Ken and his team, nothing else matters right now. And Willem Drew, the defensive midfielder, he'll have a huge part to play. Will he be tasked with slowing down Clayton Oliver, Christian Petrarca, or a combination of them both? It looms as one of our most important Toyota keys to the game, gentlemen. How do you minimise the damage inflicted by the competition's two leading ball winners through the first 3 rounds?
I'd put Willem Drew straight under Petrarca. He's their best mid. He's in form, and he hits the scoreboard a bit more than Oliver for me. So he's in the game to tag. So I'd put him straight to Petrarca.
And then this is where the huge responsibility is on Ollie Wines. He's the captain of the team. He's going to go head-to-head with Oliver. The rest of the team are going to look at that matchup and go, is our captain delivering? going, is he winning that battle? Because if he does that, that lifts everyone else around him. And consequently, the other side of it is if Oliver's getting on top, all of a sudden the rest of the team are looking at your captain going, well, we needed you to lift, and that can be deflating for a group. So this matchup in the middle of the ground, Sean, is going to be crucial to how this game results.
And after that, it's in your top-end talent. So after those guys, then you look at Melbourne. They've got Brayshaw, they've got Viney, Harms, Pickett and Jackson come through there. And Port have Butters, Rosie, Palpep and Amon. So you're keeping your top-end talent in there, aren't you?
That's exactly right. And we talked before the game, we'd both love to see Butters come in and be that next wave of Port Adelaide midfielder. You've still got Boak, who's playing at an incredibly high level, but he's 34 years old. You want to see the next generation of Port midfielders come in, start to dominate.
From a Port perspective, a laid out. Trent McKenzie out of the side. Trent Dumont makes his debut tonight. Miles Bergman into the side as well. So an already undersized defence just got a little smaller.
They did. Ryan Burton's going to have to play tall. Jonas is going to have to lead from the front. But Melbourne have got talls who are in form, and they've got midfielder who are kicking the ball to advantage, Joe.
They are. They've got the height in the air who've been really effective. Wiedemann came in last week and was really good for them, and then they've got such dynamic ball winners at ground level in their forward line. So dangerous in the air and then on the ground.
There we go, mate. Hey, mate, Ross here. Tom, how's his, mate? Your call, Max. It's a head or a bear.
Bear?
Yep.
Yes. Canadian. Bear it is.
Bear's the call. Head it is. Yours, Tom? Yep.
Sure.
Thanks, guys.
Tom Jonas wins the toss. They'll kick to the right of screen in the opening term. And look, the D's have been winning, but they have trailed in all three of their matches so far this season. Is tonight the night that Melbourne put 4 quarters of dominance together? Or can the Power catch them on an off night and capitalise?
And Jace for the Power, winless, but hasn't been all bad for Port. They've shown glimpses. The bottom line, though, they're 0-3, and just one of the 33 teams to start 0-4 in the top 8 era have found a way to get through to the finals.
For 1,000 years, but if I hurt you, I make wine from your tears. I told you that we could fly, 'cause we all have wings, but some of us don't know why. I was standing, you were there, 2 worlds colliding.
Port Adelaide have reached an early crossroads. Can they dig deep and manufacture an upset that could turn their season around? Or will the reigning champs keep rolling? The stage set, Thursday night footy at the Adelaide Oval. Travis Boak involved immediately to Drew and now to Wines. Off the back of the square, it's Burn Jones towards half forward. And the D's take possession through Bowie. Jordan. Short, intended for Viney. Chopping it off was Brayshaw. To half forward, Wiedemann.
Holding Melbourne, arm around.
Being held. Oliver. Good spread here from the D's. Jordan now straightens up, kicks to a more dangerous position. Thought about to the pocket, then adjusted his vision at the last moment and saw Fritsch coming at him.
And already you can see in 2 instances as Melbourne have gone forward, the undersized Port defenders are just starting to get out of position or just grabbing at the wrong time. And here just a one-on-one contest, really well read by Fitch, just attacked the ball. Burton went for body and he was playing the ball.
What a player he's become, Bailey Fritsch. A long road to get here, but now that he's here, he's making the most of his AFL career.
As you can see, the quick handball there to Clayton Oliver. Can pass over the top, but lowers his vision here and kicks it just in front. And as you see, Ryan Burton goes for the body instead of the ball, and Fritsch plays a lot taller than he is and able to mark and kick straight.
Last goal on this ground from a lefty against Port Adelaide. Put a dagger in their heart. The first on a Thursday night, 6 nights later, to the Demons. Here's Darcy Byrne-Jones. Low sort of a ball, but just a little bit too hot into the hands of Jaden Hunt.
Play on, play on, play
Just
on.
for May. Took it clean. The umpire said play on. Amon wraps up May. Probably a bump ball or too short.
Byrne-Jones needs to be better there. Running, bouncing the ball, just needs to deliver the ball a bit better for the Port forwards there. Easy drop punt would be nice.
Marshall with a big showdown doing the ruck work here. So the Demons, no fears here at the Adelaide Oval. 8-5, no Victorian club has a better record. Ken Hinkley, a great record against the reigning premiers. 10 outings, 9 wins, just the one loss to Hawthorn. In 2016, Amon off a shin, Wines runs into trouble. Viney and Neil Bullen.
Port Adelaide. Second tackle came in high.
With the umpire, second tackle was high. Wines finds a friend. This time it's Amon. It's got all the length. Does it have the accuracy? It doesn't. Second tackle we're looking at.
Yeah, as soon as that arm goes above the shoulder, the umpire's going to see it and pay it. But good attack by Ollie Wines, making the play, which is what they're going to have to do around that contested situation.
So now 1-5 for Carl Amon this season. 26-41 since 2019. Hasn't had the goal-kicking accuracy at ground level. Petrarca pops a handball to Oliver. He's under some pressure, cops it up. Houston. Free kick.
Downfield, James. Held up.
It was unfortunate. It was good pressure by Lysette. It just fell into the back there, but it made Oliver hurry and was actually going to be an incorrect disposal. And they're going to have to bring that pressure tonight, Port Adelaide.
Jordan to half forward. McDonald. Little miscommunication there with Butters. Just pulling out of the contest at the last moment. Free kick. Going to Wines. That's going to be 50.
And that's what you want to see if you're a Port Adelaide supporter early in the game. You want to see space being closed down really quickly because they can't afford to allow this talented Melbourne team to have time and the ability to then find targets.
Wines into some space in the pocket. A one-on-one there for Mays. And it trickles out. There's another look.
Thank you. Max.
Tom McDonald went and gave it back to the wrong player. Gave it to Spargo instead of Wines.
Max, hands onto it. Couldn't find anyone in the red and blue. What a luxury to have Jake Lever come back in with a 3-and-zip record, and Ben Brown almost rushed back, but they thought, you know what, Sam Wiedemann's going so well, stay there for a bit.
Don't change the winning formula, but Todd Marshall in the ruck as a second ruck against Max Gawn. He's going to be up against it tonight.
Arguably the best in the game. This time finds Langdon. Waiting for it, Houston.
Stand! Play on!
To Burton, who's a long kick of the football. It will fall short. Jaden Hunt and Lever work it out.
Just with those forward 50 entries from Port Adelaide, you can see that their forwards are having a really hard time getting separation from May and Lever. They're going to have to be clever, trying to create different ways, being able to be in synergy with their forwards to be able to get those short lead-ups, because those long bombs are going to be really difficult for them to take marks.
Stephen May thumps it in the McDonald direction. He goes up and takes a contested mark against Lockie Jones. Turns and goes quickly. Wiedemann next in the chain.
2 metres, Tom. 1 more metre back.
What about the short option to Viney? Goes a little further afield, just dropping into the hole there.
Play on.
Was Neil Bullen. Oliver. Jordan confronted, did well, came back inboard, not the required distance. Fritsch taken to ground. Port Adelaide forced the turnover. Bonner back into the middle of the ground. It'll suit Langdon. Coming across was Georgiadis, did really well at ground level. Wants to run away from Brayshaw and does. Has Hunt for company, so he dishes it off. Rosie rides a bump, looks for an option inside 50. Just needed to take some time and did. Didn't hit Mays. And Hunt stuck to the defensive task, but no one forward the footy. They had to just tread water for a moment for something to appear.
Nice tackle here by Hunt. Pin the arms, good tackle, but Connor Rosie couldn't go forward because Stephen Mays, the wicket-keeper sweeper down there, so he had to go lateral, just missed his kick.
Gone. Wanted Jordan, couldn't find him. Dees win the football again. Through the hands of Petrarca. Lysette moves him off the football. Brilliant in the end. Bonner. Back it comes to Lysette.
Push. Free kick going. Downfield, John Adelaide. Or Lysette. Lysette, please. Lysette, Scott.
in this slow play, this is where Max Gawn becomes so important to Melbourne defensively. You see him at the top of the screen there. He just leaves the direct opponent for the ruckman and becomes an extra marking presence for Melbourne in their back six.
Nothing obvious. Sets it to a spot and hopes a little to ground ball. Neil Bullen misses his man. Jordan knows that Oliver's there. Back to safe hands. Poor sort of a kick, always to the advantage of Cleary. Great to see him back. His knee giving him problems. Last year, a broken jaw in a little form. Burton through the middle, looking dangerous. To Langdon, to Neil Bullen. They start to build the Demons. Wider ball to Jaden Hunt. Eamon misses him in the tackle. This time to Langdon. Langdon to half forward. There's Jackson.
It's a costly turnover there by Ryan Burton, but that's when Port Adelaide are at their best, when they switch the ball, come back through the middle with speed, and it pays off when it works and you go through into your own forward 50. But when you turn it over, you open yourself up the other way, and this is what can happen if you turn it over in the middle of the field. Opposition get an uncontested mark inside 50.
Heard Max Gawn talk pre-game about the talents of this man. 3 goals for the year. It's been a pretty even spread for the Demons. No one's kicked more than 5. 14 goal kickers out there tonight in the 22. Offline, Max Gawn had the height. Line beat him.
So Burton with the kick-in duties for Port Adelaide.
No call it, please. Play on.
It's 6 of the first 9 inside 50s the power, but they've been generally pretty shallow. Only had 1 possession inside 50 off the hands of Butters. Drew slapped to advantage of Georgiades. Hitting the ball at speed was Rosie. Now needs to release. Brayshaw put his head over the football as per usual. Dished it off. Jordan down the line finds Spargo.
Play on.
Leeds come inside 50. It's cut off by Burton. Kick went right between Petrarca and Fritsch. Burton gleefully accepted. Boak to McEntee. He can go short to Mead.
Play on.
As Port look to just move Melbourne zone around. Can they manipulate some space? Burton to Powell Pepper. Thought about the give on the inside. Instead, he'll go for territory down the line. It's a 2-on-2. Lever sets himself. Early contact is penalised.
Mitch Georgiades. Straight to him, Jack, here. Straight to him here. Come back on. Get down here.
Houston loops around the back.
Oh, good side.
Georgiades to the top of the square, and Jackson, the 2 grabber.
Harms doesn't see anything he likes, tries to draw Burn-Jones. The Demons bring it back inside but turn it over. Rosie keen to move it on quickly, nothing really doing. Now a chance again for Port. They've come unstuck so far. Jaden Hunt, Tomlinson, ugly sort of a ball. Marshall slaps it wide. Lycett, little fumble, allowed Harms to come in and tackle.
Just another example of those forward entries for Port Adelaide. They're going to have to be creative because this Melbourne team is too well organised and positioned defensively. They're not going to be able to bomb in there because Melbourne will rebound and they just won't hurt them on the scoreboard.
So you want the forwards working in 2s and 3s to create space.
Yep.
So no Charlie Dixon, of course. And that's really just robbing them of a big, strong marquee target inside 50. Ball's just coming in. Rebounding straight out. It's been a problem for them all season. Langdon was smothered off his boot. Rosie went in and found it.
Well, Jace, as Sean and Joe predicted in the pre-game, that Willem Drew has gone to Christian Petrarca. And, of course, Petrarca torched Port Adelaide last time they met here, round 17 last year with the 3 votes.
Thanks, Soda. Tough choice, isn't it? Brayshaw. Here is Petrarca off his hands. Cleary. Rosie looking to get involved early. Handball intercepted. Neil Bullen. Kicks to half forward. Wiedemann in position against Burton. Burton did well. He looked to be under the football and did just enough to get it to the line.
So Melbourne are up to 5 contested marks already, Job. They average 11 for the game, and we've seen the tools already play a big part going forward for Melbourne.
It was one of the areas that are concern for Port Adelaide, wasn't it, when they're lacking that height at both ends of the ground.
Alira, a huge loss at one, Dixon the other. Gray and Fantasia missing that spark around the goals.
Good right. Marks at the 9.
And when you look at the numbers, their scoring's dried up. 84 last year, scoring 72 on average this year, and they're conceding 30 more points a game. So it's a 7-goal swing in the first 3 rounds. Undermanned and under pressure.
I think that they would be reasonably happy with this start, though. They've come up to play and they're closing space quickly. Defensively, they've been okay, and they're putting pressure on Melbourne. And sometimes that's all you can control early in a game, is you just want to make sure you're still there after 15 or 20 minutes. You haven't conceded 4 or 5 goals.
And breaking the first 3 rounds down, right in it against Brisbane. They ran over the top onto the home. Right in it last week, kick after the siren. 0-3 is a record, but they've been in games.
Nice set. Touched off his boot. Past Brayshaw. Harms goes back to find it for the D's. Langdon's handball smothered over the line. His last set versus Gawn. Umpire said play on. Those two are going to be at it all night.
They're going to have to play a territory game tonight, Port Adelaide, I think. I think they're going to get exposed if it becomes a bit of a free fall. They're going to have to play contested ball and try and win territory battle. Bergman in one direction. Langdon in the other.
And they've got to win a last quarter. Their last quarters, they need to be within touch. They've kicked 3-4 in last quarters this year, 15 goals against. It's a chasm.
So the one area of the game Port's numbers have stood up is around the football. They're going to have to at least neutralise that Melbourne midfield tonight. Burn-Jones lost the handle. Harms found it off to Gawn. Now Rivers. Harms again, a fumble, and he runs into Powell Pepper. Not the man you want to run into. Brayshaw. Hunt. He flips it wide. Jordan's been working this wing in the opening term. Pickett goes back with a flight. Jonas in the other direction. Umpire says play on. Desperation from Pickett at ground level. Jones couldn't control it. Houston's hassled out of it. Jonas goes again against Pickett. Well done, Jackson. Harms. Jordan. Rivers. And Port stick to the task, though, just when it looked like the D's were going to get out. Well played, Port Adelaide.
Yeah, excellent from Powell Pepper here, and it really started it. That tackle at the chain started a chain, which meant more players from Port Adelaide were able to come in and close space. Have a look at Cosy Pickett's desperation here, again with a 3rd effort, 4th effort, 5th effort.
I reckon we got up to about 8 in the end by the end of the passage of play. Max gone with height and the right spot. Spargo an opportunity. Bonner in his back. Neil Bullen tries to work through a couple of players. Burton's got him from one side, Burn-Jones the other.
Move out, stand.
Burton, game 99, 52 now with Port Adelaide. Bonner on that left boot of his. Perfect to Bergman. One of the 2 ins, Curry the other. Gains a yard or 2, puts it to a dangerous spot as Rosie climbed over the top, just with the left hand, tried to pull it in, couldn't quite. Mead went without it. Motlop wants the football.
Melbourne.
Throw the call. Rivers won't take the advantage.
Thanks, Steve. Stand. Play on.
Lever adds so much. And that back 6 to Brayshaw. Just ambles out from half-back. Terrific down the line to Viney.
Stand. Play on.
Hoping for Spargo. Just broke away from Burn-Jones in the end. Max Gawn looks dangerous. Petrarca equally so.
Brayshaw's causing them some problems already in this game. He's just able to connect from the back half to the forward half. He uses the ball well. He's getting a lot of space. Already 8 disposals, but he's been so effective with them. You have to be a concern because he does generate so much of their ball movement from the back half.
Plenty of chat this week about Christian Petrarca's knee and the swelling and how would he be, would he play? Opportunity for the Demons second and his first. Well, in the end, Cleary got hands onto it. Petrarca mopped up quickly, puts it Into the pocket. Fritsch looking for his second. Loves his left. This time his right. It floats. It will just sail through. Minus score only.
You can see they're both Gawn and Jackson pushing forward as well with their other tools. So they've come in with the plan to push forward and try to stretch Perth's back line.
Hold on to Cleary on the mark. So ricocheted off the behind post for a throw in. Jackson against Marshall. Through the hands of Spargo. Socket out towards the 50. Langdon, nice half volley pick up there from Neil Bullen. Nice vision as well. Finds Spargo on the outside. Plays on. Little chip kick inside 50 was intended for Fritsch. Petrarca. Jackson in a tight spot. Viney on the left. Beautiful smother. Great defensive scramble here from Port Adelaide. Palpepper now commits the body against Neil Bullen. In over the top comes Oliver. And the Port Adelaide crowd roar their approval.
I really like Willem Drew there. Left his man. He actually tackled Petrarca first. Left his man for the smother. So putting the team first as well.
Jackson with that left hand. Petrarca with the left boot. Plenty of Port jumpers at home, but they've left Spargo. Spargo picks up the ball. Not sure whether they knew Spargo was splitting the two. Just getting back to Sam Powell-Pepper. We saw him against the Hawks a few weeks ago. They lost the game, but his endeavour was extraordinary, Sean.
Yeah, he was. He's his best quarter foot. I think he 3 1/4 in that game, so he's in some form.
Butters receives the kick in.
Play on. You.
Chips to the middle of the ground. Opens up the field for McEntee. What's he got forward of the ball? He's got Powell-Pepper working for him. Heads in that direction now and he marks. Overlap run from behind. Motlop slips away from the tackler. Delivers out to half forward. Mark taken by Mays. Mays will look inside 50. Lovely weighted kick. Eamon coming back. It was intended for Georgiadis. It'll work out all right for Karl Amon. As we mentioned, his goal kicking hasn't been a strength in recent times. 1-5 this season. And 26-41 since 2019. So a tough spot here for a left footer. Sets up for the banana. Eyes still darting. In the end, he goes with the drop punt and misses near side.
Because Melbourne's key backs are so quick to get back and stay down there, it means that the only spots where there's space is in the forward pockets, and you're having these shots from really difficult angles. May, Lever, McDonald, they're so good at getting back and just filling up space.
May puts plenty on that. Bergman, Gawn, see it sail over the head. Jones gives a little protection for Burn Jones. Boak spins himself out of trouble towards half forward. Georgiadis, help from May, knocked it down. Gawn did well, defensive 50, sinks the slipper into it, gets plenty of distance this time. The skipper holds things up for Port Adelaide. Lateral ball into the middle for Bonner. Motlop continues to run. Wider ball for Eamon. Now where for Port Adelaide? Lyset, outmarked, outthought, outmuscled. Max Gawn wins again in the air.
50 metres.
And gets 50.
With me, Max. Come, Scott.
So the inside 50 count up to 12-6 Port Adelaide's way.
Time back on. Keep out. Stand.
Again, it's that inability to convert inside 50s in a score.
Play on.
The D's looking far more threatening. Gawn launches it high and long. Pickett lurking at the front of the contest. It heads there now. He's immediately tackled and taken to ground. It spills out. Porter got the numbers at the back. Bonner bends it across his body to Bergman. Little bit of time at defensive 50 to look up and assess his options. He goes to a 2-on-1. And May chops it off as Mays loses his feet.
And that's what Melbourne will do all night. They'll keep that gatekeeper back. They're happy to have to be down a number at the contest. It means that they've got that extra protection. Both Lever and May read the flight of the ball so well.
It's Lever this time, goes to Gawn, who takes a contested mark. 65 from goal. Chips towards the pocket. Through the hands of Bergman, through the hands of Wiedemann. Pressure came from Powell-Pepper. Boak back to Gawn. And they can set up again. This time he'll bring it inboard to change the angle. May can almost launch from 52. He does launch. And he tugs it right.
As Job said, then you've got to know if the opposition have got one behind the ball, you can't bomb it out. You've got to use your chain, run and take ground before you kick it. Otherwise, if you bomb it, you're just bombing it to the spare.
Jones to Georgiades. Gawn looking dangerous in the air already. Jackson also proving a problem. Cleary has a bit of space and time, a rare luxury at this level. To Bergman.
Defensively, Melbourne have no qualms in allowing you to just kick sideways and back. They know it's not going to be any problem for them to worry about, and they don't have to worry about the scoreboard if you're going to have a lot of your possession in their forward half.
Burne-Jones. Georgiades thinks about the runner, and Eamon thinks better of it. Little one over the top. So now for Butters. Eamon continues to run, hemmed in, wants the other side, gets onto his left. Towards the pocket, Motlop, Mays, plenty of Ds, one of them's Viney.
Hey, just a concern for Port Adelaide at the moment. Melbourne, we know, are contested ball kings. They've led that all year so far this year. Right now, they're plus 18 for contested footy in this first term.
Yeah, it's a huge discrepancy, isn't it, Soda?
No Port Adelaide ruck.
So Gawn can just take it straight out, give it to Bowie. He flips it to Harms. Jonas will arrive late with a big fist over the top. So the question Port fans will be saying, Sean, is, well, why do we keep bombing it in long inside 50? We can't take a mark in there. Why don't we look shorter?
Well, they just need more activation from the players around. You know, the short 45s, the mids just can't concede we're going to kick it long. You know, go down, engage your defenders, and then lead up with the ball, and then it's 1v1s, and then you get some leading patterns. So they just have to wait a bit and then open their eyes and then lower their eyes, and kick the lead-ups.
Boat crashes the pack. Amon drills it inside 50. Here's a chance for Marshall. Off his hands, taken by Lever. Flips a handball over the top to Rivers. And the D's just look so calm and in control off half-back. This is Langdon.
Like they got the exam early. They've got all the answers, particularly in that back six.
The key for Port Adelaide is they're going to have to create turnovers in more dangerous positions because they don't have the personnel to take big contested marks. They're going to have to get the ball in their forward half and then force Melbourne into making errors that they can then score off.
Easy interception. Again, this time Jaden Hunt, but it's going to sail out over the boundary line. Port will get possession back through Lockie Jones.
Fantastic point you make, Joe. This year, punishing scores from turnover. Port have gone from 6th in the comp to last this year. It's something they're just not doing.
Butters, again, out of options forward, so happy to bring it to Burton. Now to Lysette. Pal Pepper provides the initial lead. Bowie closed him down. Runner is Burton. Kick is neat and tidy over the top to Pal Pepper. Took a step and no more. Gets very close to Bowie. Bowie just corrals. Got the handball away in the end of Rosie. Got to be quick. Handball or kick was smothered. Pal Pepper came in, got the loose football, got it back again to Rosie. And he gave it back to Pal Pepper. Jackson, right hand important. Houston trying to work his way through. Couldn't quite again. Demons work it through. This time, Jaden Hunt, left boot, finds Viney. Willem Drew will try and claim it and gets paid. Thought the initial touch was well and truly with Viney. I think Viney agrees. Probably so too does Willem Drew. He won't argue the point. Into the pocket it goes. All Demons, this time Jackson.
And although the game is only 6 points differential between the two teams, you feel like it's being played on one team's style. And this is a Melbourne style of game. They look very safe behind the ball.
McDonald, little flick. Viney, almost a chip and run. Might get his own football, does. Gains another 35 metres. Bergman will beat him to it. Viney gets knocked away from Butters. Bergman into the hands of a man playing game 3-10 and looking like he's got a lot more ahead.
Can they spread the zone? They look to switch to the outer side. It needs to be quick movement down the ground. Cleary chips into the path of Motlop. But the Melbourne zone's got time to get across and set up on the far side. Rosie comes out. Petrarca, Jackson, Jordan. Well-controlled opening term from Melbourne. As Job said, only a 6-point ball game. That's the upside for Port Adelaide. It feels like it's being played on Melbourne's terms. At quarter time, it's the D's 1-3-9. Port Adelaide 3 behinds on Thursday Night Football. They're the two winningest teams in AFLW history, led by the two biggest names in AFLW history. Will it be Aaron Phillips and the Adelaide Crows winning their 3rd premiership, or has the time finally come for Daisy and the D's? We'll find out Saturday. The 2022 AFLW Grand Final right here at Adelaide Oval and live on the screens of 7. Can't wait. It should be a fantastic game. It is quarter time here at the Adelaide Oval, and it is Melbourne 1-3-9, leading Port Adelaide 3 behinds as we head down to Soda.
Well, Jace, so far, clean bill of health for both sides in terms of injuries from the first term. The D's have continued their perfect starts to the year. They're 4-0 for first quarters. They kept Essendon goalless last quarter. They've kept Port Adelaide goalless for this term as well, the opening term. And Port a couple of weeks ago, like when they played Hawthorn, they didn't kick a goal in that first quarter then, but they are leading that inside 50 count. A lot of attention they've put on Petrarca. While they've done that, though, Oliver, Jordan and also Brayshaw have got off the chain early for the D's.
Thanks, Soda. So Melbourne conceding 0 first quarter goals in consecutive games. First time they've done that since mid-1966.
Wow.
Just, can we go back to Aaron Phillips meeting Barack Obama, or are we just going to gloss over that?
Barack Obama meeting Aaron Phillips?
Yeah. I think it was one of his great thrills through his presidency. Can't wait for Saturday. D's and the Crows, Daisy and Aaron. Second term underway. 1-3 plays, 3 behinds. Wines and Boak combining. They need a lot of that throughout the night. Lysette sweeps the handball. Eamon. Boak continues to run. Got a problem in Jackson. Tries to wriggle his way out of it. Handball to Eamon. Wasn't clean. Langdon got involved. He's going to get on the end of the handball from Jackson. This time, Oliver. 5 or 6 quick strides. Then the ball towards half forward. Well done, Jonas. In front of Fritsch, the lone goal scorer of the night. To Burne-Jones. Only missed 3 since debut 6 years ago, and now Houston swings the ball a long way. Rosie. They work it down the line. Drew has to wait a long time. Never lost sight of it. Brayshaw tried to put him off. Motlop thinks about where to next. Decides the pocket. Hopes for Mays, and May stops the rock.
You know, Motlop gets the ball inside 50. They get a stoppage there, but they had an option to kick 2 short lead-ups, and he doesn't, but he kicks it to the longer high ball, and May's able to intercept it. So maybe you want to just honour those short lead-ups just to get a mark, an easy mark for your forwards.
But Job, the ball movement was quicker.
It was better, wasn't it?
Marshall at the front. Butters goes down, wins it. Boak just tries to flip it in the Rosie direction.
Melbourne advantage.
Petrarca takes it, spirals it into space for Fritsch to run onto. He's going to have Bergman for company when he gets there. Has the numerical advantage and just pops it back to Spargo, who gives it to Oliver. The D's looking so much more fluent with the football. Always seem to have multiple options. Lysette couldn't impact the contest. Bergman will track back onto the football and give it to Amon. He'll just kick it to space and hope the Boat can at least get there and force a contest. He does, but Jordan straight lines the football, paddles to his own advantage, then receives it back from Brayshaw. Goes down the line towards Pickett, who jumped early. Clears that contest and out.
He hasn't lost any of his burst, Travis Boak, has he? He's still being able to cover the ground at 34 years old. He hasn't lost any of that power running that has been such a great trait of his throughout his career.
34 this year, 1st of August. I know you laugh at that, Sean, but that is old for most AFL football.
He's getting into the second half of his career.
To be 34 again, eh?
Just getting going. Lockie Jones to Lysette to Drew. Under pressure, Oliver, a fumble. Butters kicks it away from Brayshaw into the middle. First man there, Bowie. 10 games, 10 wins. Gawn, there he goes again, Max Gawn. He's reading it well in this Thursday night clash early. Mark for Max, number what, 4 or 5? 4 it is.
7-1 contested marks, and that's the tale of the two teams, isn't it? One team's going to be able to take these marks in their forward 50. The other is struggling.
Feels like they should be further ahead. Max will try and make it so. Starts and stays left. In fact, drew a little.
Burton. Well-weighted kick to Lysette. It was clever. Just a little pocket of space, and he found it. None for Houston, though, and that's a dangerous kick. Fortunately, had the penetration to get to Cleary before Fritsch did. Now Jonas. Amon.
Stand.
Now Houston. When Melbourne have that slow, methodical build-up, it seems intentional. When Port Adelaide have it, it seems like they don't have an option.
And what they do have is they have these players who are out here on this side of the ground who are actually too far away from the ball, Sean. They're not getting involved. They're too far away from this kick to be really any danger. So Melbourne players are just letting them out there with their own space, and effectively they're not helping either team.
So you're down 2 players then in the build-up to play. So Melbourne don't mind that.
So now maybe a chance for Georgiades, but again a slow ball, and you see all those Melbourne numbers. There's only one player forward of him, behind him rather, that's Wiedemann. And Jackson can be the one to just float across. Frustrated Scott Lysette.
Play on.
Jackson back in the Gawn direction. Georgiades over the top. Jonas at ground level takes possession and has it ripped out of his arms by Petrarca. Tries to get a handball to Viney. Gawn tries to stand up in the tackle, but nothing doing there.
So slow ball movement against this Melbourne team is not your friend. Fast ball movement is even difficult to get a mark inside 50, but it's either got to be fast ball movement or you're going to have to create turnovers in your forward half.
They have a habit of suffocating you if you go slow against them and winning the ball back.
Scott Lysette just off the right of this stoppage is grabbing at his right shoulder. There he is there. Home.
He's not even going to think about contesting this, is he? He's in real pain, looking towards the interchange bench. Gawn against Drew. The mismatch was on. Gawn won the tap. Port Adelaide win the football. Butters to Bergman. Lysette adds to Port Adelaide's problems. Right shoulder. He starts to lumber towards the bench. Burton. Jones looking for a teammate. Burton continued to run into the pocket at Sales. Georgiades is the man. A couple of Ds crash against each other. May's in trouble now. Amon to Butters. Butters, little kick, good vision. Pow Pepper intercepted by Alex Neil-Bullen. May now in the hands of the trainers. Langdon comes at him. Perhaps a knee into the belly or the thigh.
Neil-Bullen. Jonas, good second effort. Down to Rosie. Amon from 52 metres. Through the hands of Sam Mays.
Again, well, that's what Joe's talking about, getting the turnover in the forward 50, and then you're more dangerous, and Amon can kick the distance. 2 points now from on the 50-yard. Could be easy 2 goals, but the turnover in the front half is the key for Port at the moment.
Yeah, ouch, a knee right to the inside of that left thigh.
Played in the grand final under duress. He'll play on tonight. Hunt, got to be quick to close him down. Pickett, player full of excitement. So watchable, big turnover. Here's Houston. Tries to get away from Pickett. His second effort after trying to... Too high.
Come back round. Stand here.
How quick was he to stop play? Did well. Gave the ball up. Got back to Houston, almost professional free kick. Have a look at the Ds back in their defensive 50. Jones to Cleary. He runs to about 55. It's got a fair bit of distance on it, but will fall short. May again gets Cannon into.
Every Melbourne player was inside 50 bar 4, so they're getting back there. So the only way to kick a goal there is what Cleary did, but just couldn't make the distance.
So does Scott Lysette getting some treatment?
Yeah, it looks like he's in a bit of trouble, the big fella, which means, of course, Todd Marshall is in the ruck up against Max Gawn for a little while. We'll keep an eye on Lysette now he's travelling.
Kick in was short of Rivers. And Motlop was high. May back towards Gawn. Drew tried to paddle to the advantage of Butters, didn't quite get there, so Burne-Jones fed it through to him. Cleary. Amon. Boak. Or Houston. Boak takes it on the front edge of the square. This next kick, the important one. He's found some space for Powell Pepper. Tough shot.
That Carl Amon kick there, back in the middle to enable Travis Boak then to go either left or right inside 50. That Carl Amon kick is, you know, really risky kick, but it pays off.
Suddenly gives him options.
Exactly right. He can attack both sides of the field now.
Really interesting, that injury to Scott Lycett. It wasn't a contact issue.
No, just that ruck contest, wasn't it? The arms got tangled up. It was something that they would have done 100 times a game, but just caught him on a bad angle.
So Sam Powell Pepper. This to give Port Adelaide the lead. Towards the top of the square. Melbourne's bigs will arrive again. And Max Gawn goes up and plucks it out of the air one more time.
From a Port sense, at least the game has been played in their front half now, and now they can just sweat on Melbourne and try and create turnovers, which they've been pretty good at so far.
Well, big opportunity lost for Boak. Brayshaw mops up, gives it off to Rivers. On his back foot, kicks off the left. Jackson has it knocked away by Jones, crashing on through Oliver. Boundary line will beat Pickett.
The other thing, what happens is when you turn the ball over inside 50, your own inside 50, your defenders get set behind the ball and they can talk to each other and they can set up a brick wall and you can get the 1+1 right at the back, and then you're really safe and structured behind the ball.
Yep. Gawn against Marshall. Kicked 5 last week. Suddenly looks like he's got a big night ahead in the middle. Gawn to Oliver. Jackson, not quite, almost for McDonald. Jones tries to mop up, knocks it towards Bonner. He just tries to get away from that Jackson tackle. Proved too hard. Ball spilt. McDonald. Jonas pounced on him. Pickett tries to burst away. Might be Petrarca. Petrarca goes to ground, gets hold of it, extracts himself, gives it to McDonald. Floating ball forward. In the end, Cleary got hands to it, brought it to ground. Houston going nowhere.
So some big positives for Port Adelaide. Matching them in general play right now. Hanging with them on the scoreboard. Just need to find a way to finish their work and get some reward for their efforts. McDonald takes it out of the ruck. Couldn't get the traction he was looking for on the kick. Well done, Jonas. Just went back with raw courage.
And if I'm Melbourne now and I'm seeing this advantage that we've got in the ruck, I'm trying to create sparsity around the stoppage. I want space because I've got a real advantage in the ruck, being able to put it out in space to my midfielders.
Marshall worked under it by McDonald. Umpire says play on. Powell Pepper flips a handball outside. Defensive 50. Bowie. Brayshaw towards the line and out. And from a Melbourne perspective, Sean, it'd be frustrating for the D's as well right now, because this game is kind of going up and down on the spot, and they can't wriggle free either.
They can't at the moment. There's only one goal difference, so it's up in the air, and it's a game of pressure at the moment, but who can capitalise get off the turnover?
38 minutes of football. The lone goal to Bailey Fritsch.
I think Melbourne are far more comfortable playing this style of footy, though. The way they set up structurally is more akin to a team that likes to play with one behind the ball. Defensively, I think that they're happiest when the game is on their terms, and it still feels to me like the game's on Melbourne style.
Gawn says, I've had enough. Gets about 20 metres down the field. Wiedemann has his head sat on. Neil Bullen to Sparrow. Sparrow's got a couple of forwards directing him. His kick is poor. Front spot, Burton, Fritsch and McDonald wanted it in the pocket.
Well, the two Melbourne forwards didn't separate, did they? They both went back, and so the kicker didn't have two options. He just saw density, and he couldn't choose between it. It was the wrong kick in the end, but I thought the forwards could have done a better job at creating an easier target for them.
Under pressure, Port, but they get hold of the football and hold on to it. Wines to Burne-Jones. Low ball for Drew. Had to wait a while. Harms put the pressure on. Drew now works the ball over the top. He'll sit up for Todd Marshall. Then a low, brilliant kick towards Powell Pepper. Looks about. Happy to go long into the forward line. Mays and May. This time Langdon floats in from the side and saves the day for the D's.
Does an enormous amount of work on that wing, Langdon, covering up and back and just helping out defensively.
Everything at speed too.
Yeah.
There's no quiet moment for Ed Langdon.
Incredible runner.
Spargo. Jonas up the front, takes a good mark in front of McDonald. So Scott Lysette back to the boundary line, having gone down the race to be assessed and get some treatment. Bonner's kick off the hands of Houston, might work for Burne-Jones. Back to Houston, confronted by Sparrow, spears towards the pocket. Mays and May.
I feel that's a bit of better entry, because if you kick that to the top of the square, you've got Mays and May, and one of them's going to be outside. So you get an inside 50 stoppage here, which is better than turning it over.
Sam Hayes was also an emergency tonight. We would have had Mays, May and Hayes, and that would have been way too much. Gorn over the top. Quick kick towards the middle will be marked by Wiedemann. High up the ground. Over to Harms. He'll look for an option at half forward. Fritsch is going to have a couple to deal with. Burton's his immediate problem. Gains a bit of territory. Lysette arrives, coming the other way. Jones straight-lined it really well. Off to Mead. He flirts with the boundary line and finds Houston, who, not for the first time tonight, tries to feign the handball and maybe draw a 50.
Didn't have a left boot, Mead, but found a way on the outside to work it into his teammates' hands. Burton. Cleary had a nervous moment. Fritsch came crashing past. Cleary stood his ground. On a perfect night for football, hardly a breath of wind. A goal between the two. 8 to play in the second. Willem Drew. Quick kick down the line. Rosie got a fist onto it. Bowie tackles Wines. Ball heads towards the boundary line. Eamon and Georgiades see it over. It's not as if we're playing in Sydney where it's a heavy 26. It's perfect, Job, out there.
We just have a look at Max Gawn covering distance all over the ground. Already 5.5 plays almost, and you think that he's going to have a really big influence now with the Mitch. Well, Lysette's got the sore shoulder, so he should be able to get on top around the ball.
He's had 9 possessions, 5 marks. Viney off to Neil Bullen. Will go laterally, try and open up the 50 a little for Harms. Port get some numbers back. So Harms will go out towards right half forward. It's a 2-on-2. Jones at the front.
Melbourne, advantage.
Free kick in the other contest. At the back, it was Fritsch, who heads goalward and spears it through.
There's a bit of lack of scoring at the moment, but you get the ball in this guy's hands, Bailey Fritsch. I feel like this is a bit of his trademark, marking the ball, rolling onto the left, and he doesn't miss. He always kicks it straight. So if in doubt, it's low scoring, get the ball at Fritsch, he'll kick the goal and bring a bit of excitement back in.
Yeah, in a game that's been so structured and quite stale, those players who are dynamic are going to have a real influence in it.
So Bailey Fritsch, 2 straight. The other 43 players, 0-7 between them. Here's a chance for Dees again. Sparrow. Unheralded perhaps outside of the club, loved within the club's walls. Tough. Brilliant grand final. Here's a chance for McDonald, and it might be a goal fest. Cozzy Pickett was off to the races, back to McDonald.
Well, it's just a different personnel, isn't it? That you've got one team where they can go and bomb forward like this, and you've got targets like Wiedering, Gawn and McDonald who can all fly and who are all capable of taking contested marks.
15 seconds gone.
Minor score in the opening round. 1 in the second, 1 last week. With that brilliant 2019, gets a second. Suddenly there's a flurry. Melbourne have got 3, skip out to 17 points.
And these long kicks into the forward line into a dangerous spot is actually a set play for Melbourne because of the personnel they've got there, and they've got these players who can run and jump and take these type of contested marks.
Noah Lear down back, of course. Port Adelaide 7 minutes away from some unwanted history as Bowie now drives it inside 50. McDonald comes at it again. Sparrow at ground level, flipped it in the Harms direction. Over to Petrarca. He misses right.
Really important 6 minutes, isn't it, for Port Adelaide? They need to be able to stick fat and keep them under without blowing them away. Obviously, Alir is a big out for them, but they've worked hard to be in this position so far in this first half. They can't undo that work by conceding a flurry of goals before half-time.
Bergman to Jones, but he can't get over the May wall.
Get on! Play on!
Heads in the Wiedemann direction, got his hands to it. Langdon taken down, Spargo likewise, it was high.
Walk out, please.
Players are so good these days when they feel the contact coming, drawing the free kick. You watch he does it here. Perfect technique by him. Burton just needs to go lower, but they're so good these days.
Spargo goes short to Viney.
Stand there, please.
Jack's kicked 3 straight for the season. So Port have managed to hang with Melbourne for a quarter and a half, playing this
15 gone.
real arm wrestle, low defensive, scrapping type of football when neither team could score. But now Melbourne have found a way. And suddenly they lead by 4 goals.
You can see Viney going in there, left foot against the boundary. That's a really good goal, and they can sense they're on top now. They're starting to dominate possession. They're getting it forward, and they're doing what they want to take an uncontested mark inside 50 after a free.
Yep.
When the majority of your players are back there, is not good enough.
Plenty of noise pre-game from Port Adelaide and the fans. Not so much in this opening half. Still goalless. Haven't been goalless in a half of football in 575 outings at AFL level. Sparrow. A little bit of poise, darted through, press, pause, works it to half forward. Harms went up, couldn't bring it in. Jackson beaten to it through the hands of Butters. Jackson still involved. Mead as well. Drew. Burn-Jones knocked away from Petrarca. Petrarca picks it up, gives it back inside. Chance for Harms. They're kicking goals now, the D's. Out to 5 goals. And they've...
And this is how you become an even greater player, when you don't necessarily have the ball in hand, when you're getting tagged and it's getting harder for you. You create turnovers like that. Petrarca, fantastic concentration to set that goal up there, Sean. And 4 goals in their last 5 entries now for Melbourne, looking really dangerous.
Yeah, they're up to 50% now, 20 inside 50s for 10 scores. Boak. Mead towards half forward. Slap towards the line and out.
Seen it a bit, Silk, in terms of teams keeping up for a while against Melbourne, but they continue to maintain the rage, wear them down, grind them down, continue to kick, and in the end, Melbourne go on their merry way.
It's playing to their strengths at the moment, isn't it?
So what can Port Adelaide do to change this? Switch things up here. Find a spark. Get their crowd involved. Gawn. If you're Ken Hinkley right now, Sean, you're thinking about your halftime address. What are you going to say?
Yeah, well, first of all, you've got to get there and stem the bleeding. So maybe put Ryan Burton on ball, or put a player behind the play to stem, the entries inside 50 of the goals. So you just got to get to halftime without leaking any more goals right now.
Houston to Jonas, and now Bergman. Back to Jonas. He's got Jones. Well, Powell Pepper on the bounce sets him a big task. He just slipped underneath Jackson then. It was really clever. And Burton can escape and kick towards half forward. Can they get some X factor out of the likes of Rosie? Jordan has got him well held in more ways than one.
I think the other thing you want to do is you want to kick a goal before half-time, because you feel pretty bad about yourself as a player rolling in at half-time knowing you haven't kicked a goal yet. So that will go a long way to stopping Port's nerves, is kicking the first goal of their game.
Gawn down to Oliver, who palmed in turn to Jordan. That kick's going to go out of bounds on the full. In fact, it's going to pitch just inside. Cleary thought it was going out.
Just from a ball movement sense, Port Adelaide, one of the few teams that I've watched this year that are happy to go backwards and spend a lot of time defensively with their ball movement. There's been a real emphasis from a lot of teams about moving the ball forward quickly from their back half. Port has spent a lot of time switching for not a lot of value so far.
Neil Bullen works it to half forward. Jonas up to the task. Mead. Left foot this time. Slick to Lysette. Back on the ground. Problem that right shoulder. Boak. What a brilliant kick. Picked off Bonner. He gets held up, though. This time, McDonald holds him. Sparrow gets a fist on it, knocks it towards Langdon, who's got a bit of speed. Sparrow to Neil Bullen.
Holding the man and 50 metres. Yes, it's your free kick. Free kick and 50, holding the man.
So that's the get and go 50-metre penalty.
So a hold and 50, and suddenly it's going to be 6 in about 9 minutes of football after it was 1 between the two sides in about 45.
It's just about maintaining the rage when you play against Melbourne. You've got to keep that pressure up for a long, long time. And they wear you down, and now they're getting bang for buck when they go forward.
Right of frame here. There it is. Burne-Jones holds up Langdon. Kicked one of the more remarkable goals you'll ever see last week. Absolutely ridiculous. This is a lot easier. Result is the same. 6 points to the D's. 36-point margin just before half-time.
The athletic freak that is Ed Langdon, the only player in the competition who has not been on the bench at all this year. And gentlemen, for a wingman, that is ridiculous.
Unbelievable, and his work rate is so high as well. One of the elite runners of the game. And Joe mentioned before, always gets back and helps the defenders, but then he's always running forward and kicking goals, so he does it both ends.
So margin out to 6 goals. Gawn in the Oliver direction. He found it eventually, off to Petrarca, who spirals it inside 50. McDonald one hand to it. Jackson tracks it back. McDonald lays a tackle on Jonas. Releases the football. Bonner. And fumbled over by Jones.
And the other thing Langdon is, I don't think he's ever been selected in the All-Australian team on the wing. But one of the elite wingers in the game.
He's up, Melbourne.
He's been phenomenal since crossing over. He's added the speed they were searching for. He and Jaden Hunt had plenty of dash. Langdon just doesn't miss a game. And as you say, Jace, always on the ground.
And always running.
Those wingmen are actually very specific roles now, aren't they, Sean, in the modern game? And they should be rewarded. The players who play those specific roles should be rewarded for it with those kind of accolades.
Oliver to the aforementioned Langdon. Squares it up. Fritsch is his target. McDonald will come from the side. Bergman over the top.
So the D's 2 minutes from keeping the side goalless to half-time. They haven't done that since 1994. That was against Brisbane. And Sean Burgoyne, you talk about as a player going in, not having contributed much at half-time. As a team, goalless, deflating, demoralising.
It's not a good feeling at half-time when, you know, looking around in your teammates' eyes and everyone's shoulders are shrunk. So you've got to go in with some kind of positive momentum.
Bergman to Boak. Might come back. Gawn again. Just outside 50. We know he kicks it a long way, but this, I think, will be from a position he goes searching for a teammate.
Play on.
5 goals in quick time in this second term. Top of the square. Jackson tries to get involved. Bergman floats in from the side and does just what Ken Hinkley had hoped for. Bonner pulls the kick. McEntee. Bonner. Houston. Lever just corrals Jones. Still time for the Demons here. Jordan wanted Sparrow over the top. Crashes in Mead. Houston, clever little kick in the end. Burne-Jones. Now it's the Demons again. Tomlinson to half forward. Petrarca tries to get involved. McDonald might get to Petrarca in the end. McDonald look for Oliver. Houston. Bonner again.
Downfield, Port Adelaide, downfield.
Undisciplined that, but they had the spare numbers. That ball was going to go to Melbourne, I think, +2 onto 1 Powell Pepper. So if they didn't give away that free kick, they would have turned it over again.
1,151 for Port Adelaide Power. Never have they had a half that's been goalless.
And Marshall has a chance to make sure they don't. He'll kick after the siren. First, they'll need to clear an injured Mitch Georgiades from the mark. So this to avoid an unwanted piece of history for the Port Adelaide Power.
Yeah, you can. Start off, must kick on this line, yeah?
He's kicked 6 straight for the season, Todd Marshall. How his team need one now.
Free kick.
Oh no,
Melbourne free
it's
kick.
a reversal, a Melbourne free kick, and Todd won't even get to take his shot.
Been a free kick paid down there to Melbourne, so it's just a reversal.
You pulled him to ground.
They've shot a goal.
A dirty half.
Jack, just leave it.
Just got dirtier. Here's a look. Butters and Bowie. There's the free kick as we head down to Soda.
Stephen May joins me now. Steve, well done. Great first half. What happened just there in that last few minutes?
We were just trying to protect Gorney on the goal line. Little Jake Bowie, and I think it was Butters maybe, slung Bowie off the ball to just turn the free kick over. I was there trying to get Bowser to not give a free 50 because it was kicked from outside 50, and then we got one. So, yeah, I think it's just off the ball free.
But well done on the first half. I think you've kept the side goalless for the first time in 28 years. But even in that first quarter or so, it still looked like you're in control, even though there was a lot of scoring. Did it feel like that? Oh, mate,
definitely. We know they were going to come out. They've been fired up. Port Adelaide are really good at getting inside 50s. They're a really good stoppage side, so we knew we were going to be under the heat. I'm glad the boys could hold up a bit and not concede a goal for the first half.
Just quickly, mate, looked like a bit of friendly fire with Ed Langdon in the groin or in that area. How's everything down there?
Oh, mate, hopefully it's all in check, but, geez, that was pain for me.
Good on you, mate. Well done the
Thanks,
first half. Stephen May there. And coming up now, 7 plays in 7 days, thanks to Seabus.
Back as half-time, Bailey Fritsch, the lone goal scorer in the first quarter. 5 goals to the Demons in the second. Fritsch, he was 2 from 2. Then suddenly Silk was all the Demons.
It was in the second quarter. They really got on a roll there. At one stage mid-quarter, they were 4 from 5. 4 goals from 5 entries and really got on top and wore Port Adelaide down.
6 points at quarter time to the good of the Demons. 37 at the long break. Joe Watson, when you look at the style of play, what they've done in the first hour of football, what are you expecting in the second half?
Well, the way the game has transpired in that first half, it was on Melbourne's terms. It just wasn't reward for effort on the scoreboard up until that last sort of 10-15 minute flurry in the second quarter. Port Adelaide are going to have to change something because the game is being played how Melbourne want to, and they're just going to wear it down, and it's going to start to get dangerous on the scoreboard for them.
You feel like Port are running out of personnel. They've got injuries everywhere. The Demons don't. They're having good players rested at home in Ben Brown after a week with COVID. And Ed Langdon, he doesn't even need to come to the bench. 100% of game time again. And Telstra Tracker shows that his heat map, he's covering all of the ground.
Well, we spoke about him mid-game and how elite he is at his position. Never been all-Australian, but continually racks up the possessions and continually racks up the kilometres. And, he can't do any more for his team, and he's just so consistent in his role.
And it's not until you watch him live do you see him and can you appreciate what he does for the team, where that unrewarded running, or he doesn't get on the end of a handball, but he's there to fill up space, or he's there to set up the ground defensively. And that's what teams really value internally. And we just have a look at how much work he's doing up and down the ground and keeping his width as well, which is really it's a really disciplined role for a team, but it helps structurally so much.
He's on track for 16 kilometres at high speed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's just covering the ground up and back and up and back. And high-speed running, Sean, as you know, is not easy to do.
Well, I can do it for probably 10 or 15 metres, but not like him.
He's doing these long searching runs back and forth.